for riders, riding their bike is not just riding a bike. It is a sense of freedom, a sense of, that all the stress that you went through a week can just vanish for those 4 hours, 5 hours what you're riding. I remember in 2020 is the first time I actually got to learn how to ride a bike properly. When I was, I think, 19, I was 19 years old. The first bike that I got to ride was the RX100. And I learned how to shift the gears, rear brake, front brake. Many people, they don't understand. They're like, okay, you killed a dog, it's a street dog. Screw it, who cares? There are many more. What they don't understand is that until it happens to them, they just don't understand that the mental impact that you took away another life is just a horrible feeling. And my mother actually said that I don't want any more bikes in this house. The whole reason of me going for the ride during the rains, the roads were wet, is because my friend Pushkar actually had got a Continental GT 650, and we said, amazing, let's go for a ride. On Harjali, there's a construction going on. If you take the left for Harjali, there's a construction going on where the road has no lights. There's a bridge on the right, there's a couple dividers here, and there's those cement big blocks on the left. So we were going through that, and I remember I was speeding at around 70 to 90 behind a Creta. And the minute as a rider, the most thing we are very alert. We can immediately stop. And this Creta's red light came on. So without me thinking, my hand went to the brake and I started braking immediately. I was doing normal braking, aligning with the Creta, not as much as I think someone is running past or maybe he's about to touch something. The Creta hit a dog. I would say the back of the dog, where the dog flipped and fell onto the tire of my bike. The distance between the dog and me, or the accident when it happened and me, was less than 5 or 4 meters, and it was less than a second. I remember slamming my brakes hard enough that my back wheel went up and it was only my front wheel. And unfortunately, the dog hit against the tire hard enough that even the dog fell onto the side, my bike flipped, and I was in the air. Mid-air, the only thing I remember was thinking, oh shit, I really hope the dog is fine. Not caring about me, not caring about the bike. And then I landed. I landed on my shoulder. So landing on the shoulder, the first thing I did was get to know that, okay, this accident has taken place now. How am I feeling? So lying on the road, first thing I did is I lifted my head. I looked at any cars coming. Luckily, people had stopped. So then I got up immediately and moved aside of the road for a second. The dog's back was broken, clearly broken, that it was a V shape. And that is when, it hit me that, oh shit, I've really screwed up this time. I remember Pushkar getting me a bottle of water, and before me drinking it, the first thing I did is put it in my hand and gave it to the dog. He wasn't having it. He barely licked a sip or two, wasn't having it. I remember the dog just looking at me, not making any noise, just breathing. I sat next to the dog for 10, 12 minutes, giving it water, just petting it, because at that moment, I had made at least 10 to 20 calls. My first call went to my father, and my second call went to, at Worli, there's a emergency dog, this thing, and they said that their ambulances, the emergency ambulance, the driver is not there. Now, I know it's not as serious for them, it's just another job for them. So I said, okay, and I stayed with the dog for 10, 12 minutes. Eventually, while petting the dog, I realized that he wasn't breathing anymore. And then I remember my father had come. He made it in less than 10 minutes from Dadar to Worli. He put me in the car. He said it's too late for the rock, there's nothing. And we headed to the hospital. I went to Yearn hospital, and that's when the first x-ray came out. A couple hairline fractures on my shoulder, and because the impact was here, the weakest bone is connected to your collarbone. That snapped in two. I had two choices for recovery. One was either get surgery done or put a sling for straight 5 months and it'll heal itself. When I went to Yearn hospital, the sling that they were supposed to give me is supposed to be an XL. And me not knowing anything about that, they gave me a XS. So not only was my hand like this the entire period, but because of that, it was about an inch. The fracture was a clean fracture which actually spread up. So it went from this to about this much, the fracture. And the bone was just quite far. I couldn't, take the pain because we went home. Now at that time we can't do surgery, nothing. We went home, I slept also with the sling. Whole night I was like this, which it made the bone move further and further away because it's pulling it on the outside. When I went to my doctor Bansha, he said that, what are you wearing? Because with the pain, I was actually sweating. He just changed my sling to an XL size and there was immediate release. So then, because of this stupid mistake by the hospital itself and the doctors there, I had to do surgery. And slowly, 5 months went by. And last month, I told my mom that, I just can't live like this. I need to ride anything. Let it be a scooter, a cycle, but I want to ride something. So they said, okay, use the scooter. So I sat on the scooter after 5 months straight, and it would still pain because it's not used to this. I sat, I'm like, it's okay. For riders, riding their bike is not just riding a bike. It is a sense of freedom, a sense of, that all the stress that you went through a week can just vanish for those 4 hours, 5 hours what you're riding. And when I sat on a scooter, I felt amazing that yes, I'm getting to ride again. And I remember taking the first spin around my area, around my colony, and I felt scared. Every car that would simply, what I'd be used to them coming in, if they did that, I would slam the brakes. Just slam it. I like, what is happening? I'm like, okay, maybe, I'm just a little rusty right now. I went and while taking a turn, I saw a dog on the footpath and immediately I stopped again because that fear, I'm like, let him cross. Around that 1 kilometer area, I took at least 20 minutes to go around it because I was so scared for that 1 kilometer that what is happening? Why am I riding like this? Why am I making so many mistakes? That happened for a couple days. Then slowly, my speed also increased 40 to 60, 60 to 70. And I would say even then, when I'm on the roads right now, even though this accident was a complete, I would say, not in bad luck, my fault, it's unfortunately a bad lesson to learn from. Of course, I have wonderful friends and family that have informed me that, there's certain things in your power to control and there's certain things you just can't control.
So it's called an accident.
That's why it's called an accident.